The Book of the Secrets, a new commentary. Discourse number 21, given in Bombay, India.
I have heard one anecdote. British courtesy is legendary, but this beats fiction. In a Conservative Party rally, Lord Mencroft was invited to speak. He came right in time, reached to the rostrum, and said to the public, he was looking a little flustered. He said that forgive me for shortening my speech a little, but the fact is that my house is on fire. And that fact is everybody's fact. Your house is also on fire, but you even don't seem a little flustered. Everybody's house is on fire, but you are not aware of death, not aware that your life is just passing through your hands. Every moment you are dying. Every moment you are losing an opportunity, which cannot be regained. The time that is lost is lost. Nothing can be done to regain it. And our life becomes sadder and sadder every moment. This is what I mean when I say that your house is also on fire. But you don't seem even a little flustered. You don't seem even to be worried about it. You are not aware of the fact that the house is on fire. The fact is there, but your attention is not there. And everybody thinks that there is enough time to do. There is not enough time. Because whatsoever has to be done is so much that the time is never enough. Once it happened that the devil was waiting for years and years, and nobody was coming to the hell. He was waiting to welcome, but the earth was running so well, and people were so good, that no one was coming to the hell. Of course, he became very much worried. He called an emergency council. His greatest disciples gathered together to discuss the situation. The hell was passing through a great crisis, and this cannot be tolerated. Something has to be done. So he asked advice, what we should do. One disciple suggested that I would go to the earth and I would talk to people and try to convince them that there is no God. And religions are false. And whatsoever Bible, Quran and Vedas say is nonsense. The devil said this won't do, because we have been doing this since the very beginning. And it has not influenced people very much. Through such teaching you can convince only those who are already convinced. So it is of no use, not of much use. Then the second disciple, shrewder than the first, said, I will go and teach and try to convince people that whatsoever Bible, Quran and Vedas say is right. There is heaven, there is God. But there is no devil and no hell, so don't be much afraid. And if we can make them less afraid, they will not bother about religion at all, because all religion is based on fear. The devil said, your proposal is a little better. You may be able, you may succeed to convince a minority, but the majority will not listen to you. They are not so much afraid of hell as much they are greedy of heaven. Even if you convince them there is no hell, they will still want to enter into heaven. And they will try to be good for that. So this also won't do much. Then the third disciple, the shrewdest of them all, said, I have an idea. Give me a chance to try it. I will go and say, whatsoever religion says is absolutely true. There is God and there is devil and there is heaven and there is hell. But there is no hurry. And the devil said, right, you have the right system. You go. And it is said since then, there has never been a crisis in hell. Rather, they are worried. This is how our minds are functioning. We always think there is no hurry. These techniques I am talking about will be of no use. If your mind thinks there is no hurry, then you can go on postponing. And that will come first. And that day will not come when you think there is no hurry. When you think now the moment has come, you can go on postponing. This is how we have been doing with our life. You have to be decisive to do something. You are in a crisis. The house is on fire. Life is always on fire, because death is always there hidden behind it. Any moment, and you may not be anymore. And you cannot argue with death. You cannot do anything. When death happens, it happens. Time is very short. Even if you live 70 years or 100 years, it is very short. What you have to do with yourself to transform, to mutate, to become a new being, is such a great work. Don't go on postponing. Unless you feel it like an emergency, a deep crisis, you will not do anything. Unless religion becomes for you a very critical process, and you feel that unless something is done to transform you, your whole life is just wasted. If you feel it very keenly and deeply, and honestly, then only these techniques will be of any help. Because you can understand them. Understanding is of no use unless you do something about it. Really, unless you do something about it, you have not understood them. Because understanding must become action. If it is not becoming action, then it is only acquaintance, not understanding. Try to understand this distinction. Acquaintance is not understanding. Acquaintance will not force you to act. It will not force you to any change. It will not force you to do something about it. You will gather it in the mind. It will become information. You will become more knowledgeable. But at that, everything stops. You go on collecting many things, never doing anything about them. They become just a burden on you. Understanding means action. When you understand a thing, immediately you start working on it. Because if it is right, and you feel it is right, you have to do something about it. Otherwise, everything remains borrowed. And borrowed knowledge cannot become understanding. You can forget that it is borrowed. You would like to forget that it is borrowed. Because to feel that it is borrowed, your ego is hurt. So you go on forgetting that it is borrowed. By and by, you start feeling that it is your own. That is very dangerous. I have heard one congregation, one church, was very much bored by the minister. A point came when the members of the church said directly to the minister that now you have to leave. The minister said that give me one chance more, only one chance. And if then you say, I will leave. So next Sunday, the whole town gathered in the church to see what that minister is going to do now that only one chance is given to him. They never suspected, they never imagined that such a beautiful sermon was to be delivered on that day. They had never heard such a thing. Surprised, delighted, they enjoyed it. And when the sermon was finished, they gathered around the minister and they said, you need not leave. You remain here. We have never heard such a thing before, never in our lives. Be here, remain here, and of course, with an increase in your stipend. But then one man, a very prominent member of the congregation, asked, tell me one thing only. When you started your lecture, you raised your left hand with 2 fingers. And when you closed your lecture, you raised your right hand again with 2 fingers raised. So what is the meaning of this symbol? The minister said, the meaning is easy. Those fingers are symbolic of quotation marks. That sermon was not mine. Borrowed. Always remember those quotation marks. It is very good to forget them. You feel good. But all that you know is within quotation marks. It is not your own. And you can drop those quotation marks only when something has become your own experience. These techniques are to change knowledge into experience. These techniques are to change acquaintance into understanding. That which belongs to a Buddha or to a Krishna or to a Christ, through these techniques can belong to you. That can become your own. And unless it becomes your own, no truth is true. It may be a grand lie, a beautiful lie, but no truth is true unless it becomes your experience, individual, authentically your own. 3 things. First, remember always that your house is on fire. Second, don't listen to the devil. He will constantly say to you, there is no hurry. And thirdly, remember acquaintance is not understanding. Whatsoever I am saying here will make you acquainted. It is needed, but it is not enough. It starts you on a journey, but it is not the end. And do something so that knowledge doesn't remain knowledge, doesn't remain as memory, but becomes your experience in your life. Now the first technique. Each thing is perceived through knowing. The self shines in space through knowing. Perceive one being as knower and known. Whenever you know something, it is known through knowing. The object comes to your mind through the faculty of knowledge. You look at a flower. You know this is a rose flower. The rose flower is there and you are inside. Something from you comes to the rose flower. Something from you is projected on the rose flower. Some energy moves from you, comes to the rose, takes its form, color and smell and comes back and informs you that this is a rose flower. All knowledge, whatever you know, is revealed through the faculty of knowing. Knowing is your faculty. Knowledge is gathered through this faculty. But knowing reveals 2 things, the known and the knower. Whenever you are knowing a rose flower, your knowledge is half if you forget the knower who is knowing it. So while knowing a rose flower, there are 3 things. The rose flower, the known, and the knower, you, and the relationship between the 2, knowledge. So knowledge can be divided in 3 points. Knower, known, and knowing. Knowing is just like a bridge between 2 points, the subject and the object. Ordinarily, your knowledge reveals only the known. The knower remains unrevealed. Ordinarily, your knowledge is one arrow. It points to the rose, but it never points to you. unless it starts pointing you that knowledge will allow you to know about the world, but it will not allow you to know about yourself. All the techniques of meditation are to reveal the knower. George Gurdjieff used a particular technique just like this. He called it self-remembering. He said, whenever you are knowing something, always remember the knower. Don't forget it in the object. Remember the subject. While just now you are listening to me. When you are listening to me, you can listen in two ways. Your mind can be focused towards me, then you forget the listener. Then the speaker is known, but the listener is forgotten. Gurdjieff said that while listening, know the speaker and also know the listener. Your knowledge must be double-arrowed, pointing to 2 points, the knower and the known. It must not flow in one direction, towards the object. It must flow simultaneously towards 2 directions, the known and the knower. This he calls self-remembering. Looking at a flower, also remember the one who is looking at. Difficult, because if you do and try it, if you try to be aware of the knower, you will forget the rose. You have so much become fixed to one direction that it will take time. If you become aware of the knower, then the known will be forgotten. If you become aware of the known, then the knower will be forgotten. But a little effort, and by, you can be aware of both simultaneously. And when you become capable of being aware of both, this Gurdjieff calls self-remembering. This is one of the oldest techniques Buddha used, and Gurdjieff again introduced it to the Western world. Buddha calls it Samyak Smriti, right mindfulness. He said your mind is not in a right mindfulness if it knows only one point. It must know the both. And the miracle happens. If you are aware of both known and knower, suddenly you become the third. You are neither. Just by endeavoring to be aware of both the known and the knower, you become the third. You become a witness. A third possibility arises immediately. A witnessing self has come into being. Because how can you know both? If you are the knower, then you remain fixed to one point. In self-remembering, you shift from the fixed point of the knower. Then the knower is your mind, and the known is the world, and you become a third point, a consciousness, a witnessing self. This third point cannot be transcended. And that which cannot be transcended is the ultimate. That which can be transcended is not worth, because then it is not your nature, you can transcend it. I will try to explain it for an example. In the night you sleep and you dream. In the morning you are awake and the dream is lost. While you are awake, there is no dream. A different world comes into your view. You move in the streets, you work in a factory or in an office, then you come back to your home, again you fall asleep in the night. And this world that you knew while you were awake disappears. Then you don't remember who you are. Then you don't know whether you are black or white, poor or rich, wise or foolish, you don't know anything. Young or old, you don't know. Man or woman, you don't know. All that was related with the waking consciousness disappears. You enter the world of dreams. You forget the waking world, it is no more. In the morning again, the dreaming world disappears. You come back. Which is real? Because while you are dreaming, the real world, the world that you knew when you were awake, is no more. You cannot compare. And while you are waking, the dreaming world is no more, you cannot compare. Which is real? Why you call the dreaming world unreal? What is the criterion? If you say because it disappears when I am awake, this cannot be the criterion, because your waking world disappears when you are dreaming. And really, if you argue this way, then the dreaming world may be more real. Because while you are awake, you can remember the dream. But while you are dreaming, you cannot remember the waking consciousness and the world around it. So which is more real and more deep? The dreaming world completely washes away the world that you call real. Your real world cannot wash away the dreaming world so totally. It seems more solid, more real. And what is the criterion? How to say? How to compare? Tantra says that both are unreal. Then what is real? Tantra says the one who knows the dreaming world and one who knows the waking world, he is real. Because he is never transcended. He is never cancelled. Whether you dream or whether you are awake, he is there, uncancelled. So Tantra says the one who knows the dream and one who knows that now the dream has stopped, the one who knows the waking world and one who knows now the waking world has disappeared, is the real. Because there is no point when it is not. It is always there. That which cannot be cancelled by any experience is the real. That which cannot be transcended, beyond which you cannot go, is yourself. If you can go beyond it, then it was not yourself. This method of Gurdjieff, which he calls self-remembering, or Buddha's method, which he calls right mindfulness, or this Tantra Sutra, they lead to one thing. They lead within you to a point which is neither the known nor the knower, but a witnessing self, which knows both. This witnessing self is the ultimate. You cannot go beyond it. Because now whatsoever you do will be witnessing. Beyond witnessing you cannot move. So witnessing is the ultimate substratum, the basic ground of consciousness. This sutra will reveal to you, each thing is perceived from knowing. The self finds in space from knowing. Now perceive one being as knower and known. If you can perceive in yourself one point which is both knower and known, then you have transcended object and subject both. Then you have transcended the matter and mind both. Then you have transcended the outer and inner both. You have come to a point where knower and the known is one. There is no division. With the mind, division will remain. Only with the witnessing self, division disappears. With the witnessing self, you cannot say who is known and who is the knower. It is both. But this has to be based on experience. Otherwise, it becomes a philosophical discussion. So try it to experiment. You are sitting near a rose flower. Look at it. The first thing to do is be totally attentive. Give total attention to the rose, so that the whole world disappears and only the rose remains there. Your consciousness is totally attentive to the being of the rose. If the attention is total, then the world disappears. Because the more attention is concentrated on the rose, everything else falls away. The world disappears, only the rose remains. The rose becomes the world. This is the first step, to concentrate on the rose. If you cannot concentrate on the rose, it will be difficult to move to the knower. Because then your mind is always diverted. So concentration becomes the first step towards meditation. Only the rose remains. The whole world has disappeared. Now you can move inwards. Now the rose becomes the point from where you can move. Now see the rose and start becoming aware of yourself, the knower. In the beginning, you will miss. When you will sit to the knower, the rose will drop out of consciousness. It will become faint. It will go away, distant. Again you will come to the rose and you will forget the self. This play will go on hide and seek. But if you persist, sooner or later a moment will come when suddenly you will be in between. The knower, the mind, and the rose there, and you will be just in the middle, looking at both. That middle point, that balancing point, is the witness. And once you know that, you have become both. Then the rose, the known, and the knower, the mind, are just two wings of you. And the object and subject are just two wings. You are the center of both. They are extensions of you. Then the world and the divine are both extensions of you. You have come to the very center of being. And this center is just a witness. Perceive one being as knower and known. Start by concentrating on something. When the concentration has come to be total, then try to move inwards, become mindful of yourself, and then try to balance. It will take time. Months, even years. It depends how intense is your effort. Because it is the most subtle balancing coming between the two. But it happens. And when it happens, you have reached to the center of existence. In that center, you are rooted, grounded, silent, blissful, in ecstasy. And duality is no more. This is what Hindus have called samadhi. This is what Jesus will call the kingdom of God. But just understanding it verbally will not be of much help. But if you try, you will start from the very beginning to feel that something is happening. When you will concentrate on the rose, the world will disappear. This is a miracle, and the whole world disappears. Then you come to understand that it is your attention, which is basic. And wherever you move your attention, a world is created. And from wherever you remove your attention, the world drops. So you can create worlds for your attention. Look at it in this way. You are sitting here. If you are in love with someone, then suddenly only one person remains in this hall. Everyone else disappears. It is not there. What happens? Why only one person remains when you are in love? The whole world drops there. It is phantom-like, shadows. Only one person is real. Because now your mind is concentrated on one person. Your mind is totally absorbed in one person. Everything else becomes shadow-like, a shadow existence. It is not real for you. Whenever you can concentrate, the very concentration changes the whole pattern of your existence, the whole pattern of your mind. Try it on anything. You can try it on a Buddha statue, or a flower, or a tree, or anything. Or just on the face of your beloved or your friends. Just look at the face. It will be easy. Because if you love some face, it is very easy to concentrate. And really, those who try to concentrate on Buddha, on Jesus, on Krishna, they were lovers. They loved Buddha. So it was very easy for Sariputta or for Moggallon, the disciples, to concentrate on Buddha's face. The moment they looked at Buddha's face, they were easily flowing towards that. The love was there. They were infatuated. So try to find out a face. Any face will do you love. And just look in the eyes and concentrate on the face. Suddenly the whole world drops. A new dimension has opened. Your mind is concentrated on one thing. Then that person or that thing becomes the whole world. When I say this, I mean that if your attention is total at anything, that thing has become the whole world. You create the world through your attention. Your world. You create through your own attention. And when you are totally absorbed, flowing like a river to the object, then suddenly you start becoming aware of the original source from where this attention is flowing. The river is flowing, now become aware of the origin. In the beginning, you will get lost again and again. You will shift. If you will move to the origin, you will forget the river and the object, the sea, towards it is flowing. It will change. If you come to the object, you will forget the origin. It is natural, because mind has become fixed either to the object or to the subject. That's why so many persons go into retreat, just to leave the world. Leaving the world basically means leaving the object, so that they can concentrate on themselves. It is easy. If you leave the world and close your eyes and close all the senses, you can be aware of yourself easily. But again, that awareness is false, because you have chosen one point of duality. This is another extreme of the same disease. First you were aware of the object, the known, and you were not aware of the subject, the knower. Now you are fixed with the knower and you have forgotten the known. But you remain divided in duality. And this is the old mind again in a new pattern. Nothing has changed. That's why my emphasis is not to leave the world of the objects. Don't leave the world of the objects. Rather try to become aware of both the subject and the object simultaneously. The outer and the inner simultaneously. If both are there, only then you can be balanced between them. If one is there, you will get obsessed with it. So those who go to the Himalayas and close themselves, they are just like you, standing in a reverse position. You are fixed with the objects, they are fixed with the subject. You are fixed with the outer, they are fixed with the inner. Neither you are free nor they. Because you cannot be free with the one. With the one, you become identified. You can be free only when you become aware of the two. Then you can become the third. And the third is the free point. With one, you become identified with it. With two, you can move. You can shift, you can balance. And you can come to a midpoint, absolute midpoint. Buddha used to say that his path is a middle path. Majjhima Nikaya. It has not been really understood why he insisted so much to call it the middle path. This is the reason. Because his whole process was of mindfulness. It is the middle path. So Buddha says, don't leave the world. And don't cling to the other world. Rather be in between. Don't leave one extreme and move to the other. Just be in the middle. Because in the middle both are not. Just in the middle you are free. Just in the middle there is no duality. You have come to one. And the duality has become just the extension of you. Just two beings. Buddha's middle path is based on this technique.